Guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition here of Intuitive Angling from the hotel room here at Lake Cherokee. We had our first competition day canceled today. Got a text at 4:30 this morning about they called the day off because of high winds. So I've been using the day productively, been tweaking some of my fishing tackle. I've been working on Fish the Moment Lake Map breakdowns, got a good workout in the gym today, and I'm getting everything ready for tomorrow. But anyway, today's video, what I wanted to do is pertinent to tomorrow. It's how to catch bass after a cold front rolls through. We got a cold front coming through. The air temperatures are going to drop significantly tonight. It's probably going to be about 25 degrees cooler than it was the last couple days. So I'll give you guys some tips on that. And real quick, just wanted to give you guys the weekly reminder. If anybody's interested in booking an on-the-water lesson with me, you can shoot me a message on my Facebook page, Randy, a private message, Randy, on my Facebook page, Randy Blockett Professional Angler, and I'll give you all the info for that. And also, if you guys are interested in becoming a member of the channel, which is a great way to support the channel, you get additional videos every week that aren't seen by the public, access to my personal email address for your fishing questions. Just go to the About section here on my YouTube homepage and click Intuitive Memberships, and that gives you all the information for that. So much appreciated. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit about cold fronts. Cold fronts is something you're going to have to deal with. It's the thing about cold fronts or warm fronts or whatever, it's just another day to the bass. And it affects them differently. I mean, it affects their moods, it affects their feeding patterns, it affects, how well they don't bite, and your approach to that. So I wanted to give you guys just sort of a general foundation of cold front fishing. I think it's going to help out a little bit because really cold fronts, guys, there's a couple different factors to it. The amount that a cold front affects a bass or how it affects a bass is dependent upon a couple different things. It's dependent upon the time of year that it rolls through, and it's really dependent upon the water temperature a lot. In general, the warmer the water and in the warmer weather months, cold fronts, when they come through, don't have near as big of an impact. So if you've got water temperatures like over 70 degrees and say it's like May through early October, cold fronts don't have that big of an effect on the fish. But when they do have a big effect on the bass is in the sort of the mid to late fall through spring. Like right now, springtime of the year, in my opinion, has the biggest impact on the fish when a front rolls through as far as how you can catch them. So a couple of different things on that. The first thing you need to remember about cold fronts is people say, oh, the fishing's going to be tough, the fish aren't going to be biting because the front rolled through. They're always going to be biting. You got to tell yourself the fish are always eating, they're always biting. Even though we got a front coming through tonight, they're still going to catch fish tomorrow. It doesn't shut them down. What it does do is it makes them reposition some, and it makes them more susceptible to different techniques, depending upon the type of lake you're fishing and the species and the water clarity and all that type of stuff. In general, there's a couple different things that I have found that works better in sort of a post-frontal situation. Normally what happens, guys, is the first day after a front rolls through, like tomorrow, you still have quite a bit of wind with it. So I expect tomorrow, I looked at the forecast, and we're still gonna have some pretty good winds, like up to 20 miles an hour. But after that, like normally the day after front, or like the next day, like which would be Saturday in this condition, you normally have your wind dropping off. And that's when it gets tougher, is when you lose that wind. But I have found that the day after a front comes through, when you still have your wind, those fish can still be caught pretty good. And one of the ways that you want to focus in on that is there's two different ways that I like to catch them in a post-front situation. It's either fishing reaction baits and trying to generate that strike, especially if you have your wind, because a lot of times those fish, they're not actively feeding after a post-front, but you can still generate a reaction strike from their curiosity and their instincts. So I'll fish a lot of fast moving baits after a cold front, or I'll go in and I'll try to find the heaviest cover I can fish and pitch and flip around that heaviest cover, depending upon the lake, how that goes down. So that's usually my approach the first day after front, regardless of the water clarity or anything like that. Now, the thing that you really want to focus in on is that second day after the front, when you lose your wind, because that's really when you have to sort of make my adjustments. And to me, what I found, there's a little bit of a transition is the wind will allow you to get that reaction bait strike, you know, like from lipless crankbaits and spinner baits and stuff like that the day after the front with the winds up. But once you lose that wind and that wind gets down, say less than 10 miles an hour, that's when I found that you have to finesse them out and you have to slow down more. So that's when I go to like my shaky heads, drop shots, you know, tube on a jig head, wacky rig, Texas rigs, something I can pitch and flip, something like that. It just seems like their mood gets away from a chasing mood and gets more into a bottom oriented mood. So given that, I sort of look for maybe tomorrow some moving baits to be working good on Lake Cherokee, and then maybe the next day have to slow down with you know, a Ned rig or shaky head or something like that to catch them. And again, like I said, that's not 100% foolproof, but I found it to be pretty true over my decades of fishing experience. That seems to be the things that produce the best. So anyway, guys, hope that helps you out next time you have to fish after a cold front. Just don't let the cold front affect you that much as far as mentally, because it probably affects you more than it does the fish. And I'll give you guys an update tomorrow when I get off the water, if we go out tomorrow, on how the first day of competition went. And anyway, thanks for tuning in, guys. Much appreciated, and we'll talk to you tomorrow. See you.